thing is that I pretty much found some really good fish in practice rigging. And the last day, I ran into an old friend of mine, Dale Dykes, from Iowa, that's staying out at Spring Creek. He's got a trailer out there, and he's just a wonderful man. We're both fellow Iowegians, along with Gary Spiker and some of the other great Iowa anglers. And you know what? I went out fishing with Dale, and I had a great time. And I told Dale, I said, I want to try something a little different. All these guys are fishing the trees. I want to fish outside the trees. And we dropped things down a little bit deeper. I was fishing trees, but a little brush off the bottom, and I was in the slot in between the two groups of trees. And we caught some pretty nice fish with about an hour to go in practice. And I'm doing things a little bit different. I'm trolling with monofilament. I'm using good old, the line that I grew up fishing was Trilene XT 10-pound test. And I'm pulling it behind offshore planer boards. I'm using 4 boards most of the time when I'm fishing, which most of the guys weren't. They're using 2 and 2, like coral, that other stuff. And I was trolling outside the trees. I didn't want to get in there and tangle up and mess with those trees because the fish would come up and pick that bait and then jet right back down into them again. But every once in a while I would snag, and it was incredible how I only broke off 1 lure in the trees. I would grab the spool every time with that Trilene XT 10-pound test, hold the spool, and I got just about every lure back out of the trees that got in there. And as soon as you see a board offshore go back, you'd have to jump on that rod and get on it and get that fish coming to the boat. The other amazing thing I was doing is for my slots, I would go inside on the flats in 10 to 11 foot of water. There's an old shoreline lip there, and I would troll with my big engine, with my Evernoot E-Tech 250 HO at 3.3 to 3.6 miles per hour. And then when an offshore board would go back, we'd have to put it in neutral, take the fish, baby it a little bit, the board would come to the boat, I just slightly put it in gear to keep tension on line, take the board off, put the boat back out of gear again, grab the net, and swing around and net that fish. But that speed was triggering those fish, and it was incredible how that happened. And I really am really happy with how I did.
Well, you should be. Right now you're sitting in second place. You're right down proud of that. I mean, is there the reason for going out and down? Is there a bait down there? Is there a type of forage down there you think those fish are concentrating on?
A lot of guys get pretty difficult with fishing, and you know what? I've been learning from the good old boys that I fished with. Eric Nag from back home from Cylinder, Iowa. Good old farm boys that go, well, I just put my lures in the water and the fish ate it. And I think that they're eating whatever they're eating down there. Chip, they're eating smallmouth bass, they're eating white bass, they're eating alewife or smelt, they're eating perch. They got a plethora of forage in this body of water that they're eating. The baits that I was catching most of my fish on, though, I was catching a lot of fish on flicker sheds, which is incredible. The baits that Gary Parsons and Keith Kalias have helped develop with that flicker shed lineup. They're one of the hottest baits out there, and they're very affordable. Also, good old Rapalas. I'm non-exclusive on tackle, and now everything I use, I don't have to say minnow imitating stick bait, but man, I caught a lot of fish on glass husky jerks. I caught a lot of fish on the 3 hookers up in the deep water and the 2 hookers up in the shallow water, and then in turn, jointed shad wraps, etc., etc. So I had about a dog from every village out half the time I was fishing. And the biggest thing though is that I just want to thank the Nelsons from West Prairie Resort. You want to talk about a wholesome, down-to-earth family, and you look around this crowd. God made South Dakota, and then he put a bunch of really cool people in it, and I love y'all. Thank you.